Colorado star athlete Travis Hunter is one of the best prospects in the 2025 NFL Draft. On today's episode, Keith and I will debate whether or not he's a better corner or wide receiver. That and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast. Cover your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I am an offensive draft analyst over at Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He is the director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with those LSU Tigers. And as always, guys, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen each and every day, being our everydayers. It's all about Travis Hunter on today's show, Keith. We are scouting Travis Hunter, the do-it-all corner, wide receiver, athlete out of Colorado. We're going to scout him as a corner. We're also going to scout him as a wide receiver. And then we're going to close the show out with Travis Hunter or Will Johnson as the best CB in the 2025 NFL Draft. Let's get into it. As a cornerback, Keith, he came into the combine. We know he didn't do any of the testing and everything, but he measured in, came at 6 foot even, 188 pounds, 31 3/8 on the arm, 9 1/8 on the hand. And this is a guy that we know. When I watched him as a corner, I was like, okay, what can I take from this film and put it into the NFL? He's an outstanding zone corner, like zone discipline, route recognition, post snap recognition. Does a great job of, like, you can do run different coverages with him. Cover 6, he can be either the cover 3 guy dropping back deep, or play the curl of flats as that kind of cover 2 squatter, or you can run cover 2 like Tampa 2. He can do that type of stuff as well. Of course, cover 3, and he can play cover 4, just because to me, he's, as a corner, he's better off coverage and he's more comfortable off coverage than he is lined up in press. And you just see that ability. Go back to 2023. I think it was a game against UCLA. He's playing curl of flats. I think he caught him twice in that game. They had smash concept ran with the corner from the slot and then the quick hitch. He played half man, picked it off. They tried to do another concept in that game. He passed off one, robbed the 2. And it's like the ability to take the ball away. And then in 2024, when he did play man, and a lot of times more so off, I felt like I said, I feel like he's more comfortable. You saw him, I can't remember which game it was I was watching, but he had that interception across the middle on the deep end breaker where his closing speed is ridiculous. I think
that was Baylor. That was either Baylor.
It might have been Baylor. It might have been
Baylor. I don't know why I feel like I see green. I know
he's such a dangerous corner, because even when you think, all right, my guy's got a step, this is a clear, clean, like, completion and reception, he then jumps it from behind the play and makes an interception. He had another play like that where he almost came down the interception, but the ball forced it out of his hand. I think when you're talking about him as a corner, I think, as you said it, and that's what sparked us doing the show, is like, you feel like you know where you're getting with him as a receiver. I feel like I know what I'm getting with him as a corner. It's going to be cover 3, off coverage. This guy's going to take the ball away. The recognition, the discipline, the high football IQ, you know what I mean, as a corner, be able to play those mixed coverages and not panic in coverage. I think that's where I feel like the NFL is so high on him, because they still look at there's meat on the bone to work with him in zone, especially because nowadays the NFL defenses are either, you see a lot more cover 4, you see a lot of like zone coverage early on, and with the mixture of man on like money downs, like third downs.
Yeah, DP, I'm sorry. Just with this evaluation with him as a corner, I am trying to get to a good place, right? And I don't think I'm in a great place right now, to be completely honest. And it's because I feel as though I haven't seen it all, right? I haven't seen it all, and it's because of what you said, right? Like that they play a lot of zone. They play a lot of, different things, and you see him, he'll jump outside or jump inside and kind of just side saddle, carry vertical, right? Like, and do those type of things. And so when I go to it, I ask people for comps, right? And I know we've talked about Patrick Peterson, we've talked about well, no, not Champ Bailey, but I've heard the Patrick Peterson comp. I think we talked about that on a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
I just think body type wise, they're totally different. And Patrick Peterson was, I mean, it's LSU. We was playing man, right? Press man, get in your face and roll with it. So it's just what is the case study for Travis Hunter that and I'm not even talking about as a two-way player, right? I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about like as a pure corner, who is somebody that matches up with him when you say, hey, he can be this? When you're just talking about just as a pure cornerback, like who is this cornerback comp that we've had in the past 5 to 10 years?
I mean, that was when I was struggling with, and shout out to Lance Zierlein. I saw his comp, and I like it. It was Darius Slay. And
I just thought about Slay. I literally and when I was asking that, I thought about Slay.
I never thought about Darius Slay until when I saw that name pop up, when I looked at his combine stuff, and I scrolled down and see what I was like. I wonder what Lance Zierlein comped him at, because I've been struggling with the comp for him at corner, and then I saw Darius Slay. I was like, this fits for me. I was like, because you look at especially early young prime Darius Slay, when he was super athletic, like he did pretty much everything, but he was so good at being able to bait you in the throws, take the ball away. That's what they call him, big play Slay. Like he was able to generate turnovers and make those big plays. And he was a good man corner. I don't think he was ever one of the best man-to-man corners in the league, with the real Reeveses and those upper echelon guys. I feel like he was a good man corner. I think that's where seeing that comp, I think that's where I'm going to land when it comes down to, because like you said, the Patrick Peterson thing, it's just different body type. Patrick Peterson was like, I feel like he was like 6'2", like 210 pounds. Like he just looked like an ex receiver. You know what I mean?
He's 6'1.5", 6'1", but he was 200 pounds. He was big. He was big boy.
He looked like an ex receiver. Like he looked like he should be playing X solo outside on the boundary 1-on-1 as a receiver. But he also had that ability as well, athletically. And I think that's where, like I said, just watching him and seeing where the trends are in the NFL now is like, all right, yeah, I need you to play man, but it's just more so play man in spurts now in the NFL. It's not unless you go into a Wink Martindale defense where it's like, hey, I'm about to blitz this quarterback until I can't blitz anymore, and you're gonna be on the island. It's a little different. But I think even when you look at what's my guy Nate Wiggins last year? Nate Wiggins played a lot of zone and stuff like that at Clemson. He acclimated well going to the NFL and playing more man-to-man or more of a mixture in that Baltimore Ravens defense, so much so that opposing quarterback said, we're going to target Marlon Humphrey, the veteran. We're going to target Brandon Stevens, and they basically let him just walk in free agency because he got lit up like a Christmas tree last year. They stayed away from Nate Wiggins. So I think with when you look at like Travis Hunter, that he has the best ball skills out of any DB in this class, even with the Malachi starts, because of the fact of it's different when you're playing on top of the roof for this as a safety and you're traveling to the ball than somebody targeting you one-on-one and you're able to just jump routes. You're able to play it the way he's able to play it. Travis Hunter's feel for the game. And that's why for me, it's like also, and I know like you said, you're a big, it's an old school mentality too. Even with scouting, it's like, I need to see you do it. You know what I mean? A lot of scouts still kind of operate with that. And I think with him, it's like, okay, I've seen what you are as a zone corner. I see solid stuff from a man standpoint, but there's a lot that you could learn and develop with as a man corner in press coverage that you don't get the opportunity to do, because heck, like we always talk about, if you give up a touchdown, you got to go get one back because you're going right back on the field on offense. That's not going to be the case in the NFL. I know he wants it to be, but Coach Prime, go ahead and talk to your boy. Let your boy know it's not happening in the NFL. These owners are not about to kick out money to you and put you in a position to get hurt by trying to appease to what you want. So I think, again, top 5 pick, top 10 pick for sure. High level zone corner with mixture of man principles is what I see with Travis Hunter.
Okay, yeah, no, I actually don't mind the Darius Slay comp at all, DP. I think that's probably closer in line than, like I said, than what some other things that I've seen.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then it's like, okay, people are telling me like, hey, you get Darius Slay as a cornerback, right? This is a young Darius Slay that you drafted. I'm like, okay, I can buy into that, right? Like as far as what he can and can't do, but also, being able to make plays on the football, because the part that I do see is, like you said, the zone instincts, right? His ability to do that. I guess I look at it like, hey, when we going against number 1 wide receivers in the NFL, right? Like, how are we going to match up physically? How are we going to match up if I ask you to travel with him? How are you going to match up when I ask you to play man to man? Right? Like, what is that outcome going to be? So that I guess that was.
I'm gonna say that to answer that question. I think what we see from the NFL now in man coverage, they're so focused on taking away the big play. You got safeties over the top now, so where they're just playing two deep shells. I think that's what, and I think that will make him a very dangerous man corner in the league. To where it's like, hey, we're not just play that 2-man under, and it's like, yeah, because I was watching some Pulse in the Debo, and he had a couple interceptions playing 2-man under for the Saints, where you thought, okay, that slant's open. Like, no, I'm just playing trail. Like, I wanted you to throw that. And then I jump it and take it away from you. And then we know what Travis Hunter is, what he is, and what he can be as a playmaker with the ball in his hands. I think that's probably what you, especially early on, Keith, that's where you want him at. That 2-man under, 2-man trail where you can literally have the safety over the top. He's got the recovery speed the way he's not going to get beat vertically, even if he gives up the vertical plane, and then he can make the play at the catch point if you underthrow it.
Yeah, well, DP, luckily enough for us, Travis Hunter plays both sides of the football, right? So we just broke him down as a corner. Now we're about to have a conversation with Travis as a wide receiver. Let's get into that coming up next.
This show is sponsored by Betterhelp. Taking care of your mental health can feel like a big investment, but it's just as important as taking care of your body. Traditional in-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session. But with BetterHelp, you can save up to 50% per session. BetterHelp offers a flat fee for weekly online therapy sessions, making professional support more accessible and affordable. With over 30,000 therapists and over 5 million people helped, it's the world's largest online therapy platform. Therapy isn't just for tough times. It's a great tool for learning coping skills and setting boundaries. And guys, take that testimony from someone who just surpassed his 1-year mark of therapy himself, your boy DP. Therapy has helped me a whole lot of finding the best version of myself. So your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Travis Hunter, the wide receiver. Keith, I feel like you go back to summer scouting. I came into Travis Hunter, I was super high on him as a corner. I remember when you finally watched him, you was like, man, DP, I think I might like him more as a receiver, right? Now you look at, we went through the whole 2024 season and everything. He was a Heisman winner. Like, did he win the Biletnikoff? No, did he? I can't remember. But
I can't remember.
He was up there for the Biletnikoff, but he won the Heisman, like all the accolades, everything. Keith, do you still feel like I think you invoked like Jerry Jeudy's name, different things like that. What did you see on film when it came to Travis Hunter, the wide receiver?
Yeah, and so I talked about the unclear picture, right? And I talk about the clear picture with him as a wide receiver. I think he's an immediate impact guy as a wide receiver. This guy has short area quickness. He has burst. He can get vertical. His ability to adjust to the football is amazing. The catch radius, difficult catches. This guy's just a natural wide receiver. He just understands how to catch the football. You talk about the North Dakota State play where the guy was literally in front of him and he just caught the football with the guy, like just caught the football around him, right? And there's just so many spectacular plays with him as a wide receiver. And I guess I'll double and triple down on the Jerry Jeudy comp. And everybody's going to kind of be like, well, he compared him to Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy didn't work out. Well, Jerry Jeudy ain't had a quarterback, right? And you knew he didn't have a quarterback because all he needed was Jameis Winston, right? And then he finally had a 1,000-yard season. So that lets you know what he's been working with, right? And I appreciated Jerry Jeudy's game, but I think that's what Travis Hunter is, a guy that can flirt with being a 1.5 for your team, right? And what I mean is that you go back even to like the Devontae Smith conversation, to where did Devontae physically dominant to be a 1 maybe in the NFL week in and week out? Maybe not. But if there are situations in big game moments where Devontae Smith can lead the Eagles in receiving, can he go a 4 or 5 game stretch where he's the man in Philly? Yes, I think Travis Hunter can do the same thing. I think if you have like even, and not putting him here, right? But what I'm saying is that, like, let's say the New York Jets, and you have Garrett Wilson and you have him. I think they can split it as far as being who's number one, right? I think they can get the job done, in just different players. But I just look at the Jets because obviously they got rid of Devontae Adams. But I think Travis Hunter has some high-level instincts as a wide receiver. And I think this, and I think this probably the best way for me to clear this up, is that Travis Hunter, I think he's 2-ish years away of kind of really being like you talk about like that all-pro trajectory, especially if you're drafting them top 3 or top 5. I think as a wide receiver, he can come in immediately and be an impact guy as long as he has somebody to get him the football.
No, I agree with you. And I mean, when I watched him, explosive athlete, like you said, the ball skills. I think I want to give him credit because like last year, coming out of the summer, his release package was so like simplified. It was one-step jab, speed releases every time. And it was like, when you're playing against more like, nuanced corners, they're going to read that, get hands on, and they're going to force you to the sideline. He did add a little bit more 1-2 step, a little more nuance to his release package at the line of scrimmage. And I think there's still more to grow with him. And I will say this, Keith, and this is something I've been holding close to the vest for a while. I think when you brought up Devonta Smith to Jerry Jeudy, I think that's his floor as a receiver. I think if he hit his ceiling, like, and listen, I think he could be an all-pro corner. I think he could be an all-pro wide receiver as well. And I think if he hits his ceiling, it's Justin Jefferson, Keith. Like, I really believe that, like, because of the difference. I think when I remember watching Justin Jefferson, and you see him in the league now, and of course, you saw him at practice. I don't think people understood what type of mentality he had as a player, like the play strength, the dog in him, where it's like, no, I want the ball. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want the one-on-one. I want when the game's on the line, that third down, I don't care if there's a safety over the top. Throw it to me, and I can make those ridiculous grabs. You talk about the North Dakota State one. Like, he's got multiple, like, just wild catches. But then also a part of his game that I don't see people talk about enough as a wide receiver with Travis Hunter is to run after catch stuff. His feel for space.
That's the stuff that reminds me of Jerry Jeudy. Like, it's the run after the catch stuff. It's the stop on the dime. It's to make people miss. Like, this guy has the ability to just be a flat out playmaker in the NFL. And I Justin Jefferson, that's near and dear to my heart, DP. So you don't know how high I'm gonna go with that, but I agree with you that there is some semblance or percentages of all pro potential just because of the plays he makes on the football. Like, this is a guy, like, you can throw him the slot fade, you can throw him a fade in the end zone, and you like, we got a chance because he's gonna find.
And he's only 6 foot. Like, this is not 6'5". Like, you still feel comfortable throwing that slot fade or that fade in the red zone one-on-one. Keith, because I can't remember. I mean, I always go back to that. I think it was Nebraska game, 2023. Catches that I can't remember if it was an in cut or like a middle button hook in the middle of the field. Catches it, jukes 2 defenders. They run head on into each other. He gets upfield, gets more yards after the catch. They run little spot concepts. Shador gets the ball to him immediately. He sinks and settles into the soft spots of the zone. But he has that feel kind of like a punt returner of where bodies are post-catch. And it's so innate and so fast where it's like that he plays like the game is so slow for him to where that quick twitch reaction and muscles, like you see him turn, identify where guys are, makes a guy miss, jukes another guy. Now he gets 6 yards after the catch. Not only was it a first and it was a first down, it's first down plus. And it's like, when you start factoring that in, and then you think about what we see in the NFL now, all the pre-snap motion stuff, where it's like I can pre-snap motion you, and we can kind of do the Canadian Football League stuff where you get that running start to the line of scrimmage and get you a free release. With his speed and ability, I think that there's still room to grow as a pure route runner, like sinking and driving and manipulating guys and dilating speeds and stuff like that. I think that nuance can come with reps. And I'll say this, Keith. The New England Patriots have been tied. That's one of the guys we've tied him to, like one of the teams. And it's like, well, they could use him as a corner opposite of Christian Gonzalez. Well, they just went and paid and signed a 3-year contract to Carlton Davis, who went from the Bucks to the Detroit Lions. They brought back Alex Austin, one of my guys from Oregon State, from 2 drafts ago that I like, and he's been playing good ball for that secondary. maybe they don't even use him. If they were to take him, maybe he's not a cornerback at all. Maybe they literally draft him and say, you know what? You're going to be our wide receiver one. You're going to be the guy that Drake May can get the ball to because he's going to be an easy target for May. Like we talk about the short and intermediate stuff, but then with May's big arm and then May's off-script playmaking as well. Now you get scramble drills, you get the deep ball. This is a team that's going to try to run the ball with Mike Vrabel. Yeah, like, I mean, this could be a situation in New England. And I'm not going to lie, Keith. Like, as much as I love him as a corner, I kind of fantasize like, man, what would he look like as a full-time
I think you crossing over, baby. I think like if the people are listening, if they're listening to this podcast, y'all let us know. Does it sound like DP want him to play corner or wide receiver? I think I'm seeing more right? I'm seeing more emphasis when you talk about him at wide receiver. That's all I'm saying.
He's super exciting as a receiver. You know what I mean? We can throw the opposite direction like we did with Nate Wiggins. We don't have to throw at you and everything like that. We won't hear your name, but at receiver, 10 targets a game in New England, I'm all in on that, Keith. I'm all in on that. So it'll be interesting. I kind of I would if New England were to draft him with the cornerbacks they have, play him at receiver. Just make him full-time receiver and let him go ball. You know what I mean?
Yep, 100% with DP. Let's end this thing with a comp, man. We're gonna go Draft+Hunter versus Will Johnson, the battle for CB1. We'll talk about that coming up next.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 back in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's right, 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who you believe is cutting down the nets. I'm telling you now, guys, you can stay in the action with tournament games happening almost every day. There's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple, super easy to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly, no waiting around. You don't want to miss out on a deal like this. So how can you avoid missing out on it? Simply, just visit FanDuel.com today to get in on all of the college hoops action all tournament long. Again, FanDuel.com to get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our every dayers. The battle for CB1. Will Johnson out of Michigan versus Draft+Hunter from Colorado. And this is it's going to be a tale of preference, right? What's your flavor? Are you a man-to-man team that needs that nuanced, detailed technician? Or are you the team that say, you know what? Let me get the big-time playmaker, the guy that can create the turnovers like a Draft+Hunter, that big play, Darius Slay type of style? Or do you want that just technician, just smooth, do-it-all type of guy like our current and reigning defensive player of the year, Patrick Surtain II? Keith, I think I know where you're going with this. I think I know where you're going with this. But tell the people, when you're looking at the cornerback situation, who should be the first? If we're just take out the receiver stuff, if a team needs a corner, who should be the first cornerback off the board in 2025 NFL draft?
Will Johnson. I'm pounding the table for him. I told you, I think he's right in there in line with the Patrick Surtains, the Christian Gonzalez. I think this guy has that type of special ability, the Derek Stingley's. I maybe, I'm not ranking them right. Obviously, I probably put Sting 1. Then maybe the Christian Gonzalez Surtain one, probably close. I probably go Surtain and then Christian Gonzalez and then Will Johnson, right? I think he's right there with those guys as far as understanding the game at a high level reps, can play press. But I think another thing that's underrated about him, DP, when you watch a lot of this guy interceptions, it's a lot of baiting stuff, right? Like him coming off of his man to jump routes, like all of the different pick. I think he's had, don't quote me, is it 4 or 5 pick sixes in his career? And most of them have been jumping routes, like him playing outside, reading the number 2, and then jumping things and taking it back to the house. So like he has, and it's funny because he's wearing number 2, right? And when you put up that that graphic, right, for those who on YouTube, I seen Darius Slay too, right? I was like, oh man, we just comp Darius Slay to Travis Hunter. But I seen him, but I really do like the Patrick Surtain junior comp probably the best because, like I said, we talked about this was it last week or week before last? It was the same conversation. People were wondering how fast is Patrick Surtain, things like that. And I think that's why. Yeah, J.C. Horn went before him, right? J.C. Horn went before him.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he went maybe a couple picks before him. But looking towards this situation, Patrick Surtain has more than done his job as far as he's an All-Pro and Defensive Player of the Year. Like he was well deserving of going top 3, right? And potentially still looking at this as like, hey, he's the number 1 cornerback off of the board in that draft. So I think you can have questions, but the instincts, the technicians, the ball skills, it just checks all the boxes for me. I feel like I've seen it before.
100%. And I mean, especially coming in at 6'2", right? Like what we talked about with just now with Travis Hunter, he's 6 foot even. Yeah, J.C. Horn did go 1 pick right before Patrick Surtain the second and everything. And I remember seeing like Panther fans were having that discussion internally. Like, it was like, man, like, we probably should have drafted Patrick Surtain because JC was dealing with the injuries. And shout out to JC, he just got a big. I think he's the highest paid like cornerback in NFL history right now. Yep. Yeah, highest paid corner. You know, after coming off that big season he had last year. But yeah, I go with Patrick Surtain as well. Is like if I'm taking a corner, again the ball skills, the playmaking ability of Travis Hunter, like is so enticing because it's like, and I mean we watched both these guys move. Surtain's the more and it's crazy. Then when you think about J.C. Horn, Surtain's the smoother guy. He's the smoother, just like with Will Johnson, just smooth, fluid. Their transitions are super clean. They flip their hips and turn and drive. It's little wasted movement, like all of that. That's what you want in a corner. And when you look at similar to J.C. Horn, I think it's almost parallel to J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain, where JC was kind of the more of the playmaker, the more aggressive guy downhill, going attacking the ball, things of that nature. And I think JC might have been taller than Travis Hunter as well. I think that's where the difference is. And I think, of course, when Travis Hunter gets the ball in his hands, that receiver comes out of him as a DB. And now you got offensive players trying to tackle a receiver in space. And it doesn't work out too well if he gets a block or two. It's like, man, this might be a crib call. You know what I mean? It might go ahead and call the house and tell them we coming home. So I think Will Johnson definitely, and it depends on the team. I mean, you think about Jacksonville, you know what I mean? They could use corner.
Yep.
Like they absolutely could use a corner in that situation. And if they get that pass rush exactly where they need it to be, yeah, a guy like a guy like Will Johnson that can cover and blanket receivers, big receivers, small receivers. I think we coming in the summer. That's why we were so high on Deion Burks. We saw those two battle. And Deion being like maybe 5'10", he's probably 5'9". Like he's a short, explosive, quick twitch guy. And while he had his wins, so did Will Johnson. And it was like, okay, so you can match up with the Marvin Harrisons, the 6'3", 6'4" guys. Then you can match up with these smaller guys as well and defend them well enough. And I always go back to it. I continue to say it. Watching Patrick Surtain versus Tyreek Hill and seeing how he was able to defend him, Keith, I was like, yeah, no, he's fine. He's going to be fine. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't get, like, I watched Tyreek Hill burn some of the fastest corners in the league. Yep. And to watch Patrick Surtain the second blanket him and run with him stride for stride and defend him well, I'm like, yeah, no, he's going to be fine. And that's the reason why he's the reigning defensive player of the year coming off the 2024 NFL season. He's a shutdown corner, man. So, yeah, Will Johnson he should be the first corner off the board and everything. And again, if the New England Patriots need to make a pick and they don't want to go, I think they're going to go O-line because they missed out on, I think, what was it, Ronnie Stanley and some of the other top offensive tackles. If they wanted to pick a player, it probably would be Travis Hunter. They feel like they could do different things with him. But yeah, I think Will Johnson probably should be the first cornerback off the board. He's my CB1. Travis Hunter is right behind him in CB2. And then I'm not gonna say it's a drop off, but then you got Benjamin Morrison, Siobhan Revel, some of those other guys. And we should definitely come back and rank our top 10 cornerbacks heading into. Yeah, we have. I don't think we've done that yet. So we definitely need to get into that, have that conversation.
Yeah, no, I think that's gonna be a fun conversation. Gonna be a lot of variance, just like the wide receivers, right? So I think we definitely should do that. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. Every listener is greatly appreciated here over at Locked On NFL Draft. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Keith, I think we should put our playmaking hat on, our offensive coordinator hats on for tomorrow's show. Let's take Jackson Dart and let's build the offensive game plan for him going into the 2025 NFL Draft. What teams, what offenses could we, similar to Bo Nix, we already said if he fell into the right situation, he can make plays for a team, and we watched him do that with Sean Payton. What offensive mind coach for Jackson Dart can get him there? Let's talk about that on tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.